This is Barbara with Cana Girl Speaks podcast. My voice, your voice. Good evening, everybody. This is Barbara with the Cana Girl Speaks podcast, and I am always excited to be recording the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. Thank you always for supporting the Cana Girl Speaks podcast, either you watching it on YouTube or you listening on Anchor or Spotify or the Apple podcast. Just thank you so much for supporting the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. This evening, I'm so excited that I have a star in my presence, and I was so excited that he had took the time to be on the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you, can I just say Robert Johnson?
Robert Johnson is fine.
Robert Johnson.
I mean, we go back.
So
we
Bob
go back
Johnson,
Robert
Johnson. And so he's on because he wants to talk about, I'm going to let him tell a little bit about himself before we get started. So why don't you tell the listening audience about Bob Johnson?
Wow. And Bob Johnson, I love that because if anybody calls me Bob, they knew me when I was young because I couldn't pronounce Robert. It came out as Wobbert. And when I got to be a police officer, you know, when I turned 20, I kind of felt bad about going up and going, "Hey, I'm Officer Bob," you know? And that's when I learned how to say Robert.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you said, my name's Robert Johnson, and you know, I was raised in Fairfield, just south of here, and you know, I spent my entire youth trying to get out of a small town, and then when I grew up, I've spent my entire adult life trying to stay in a small town, and met my wife from Corsicana. We got married back in '88. We got two kiddos that now have graduated A&M.
They're adulting now.
They are adulting. And I tell you, life has just been a blast. When I retired up in the Dallas area and came back, and I still lived here, I was driving back and forth. And I think you know that very well because you did the exact same thing.
Yes.
You know, we wanted that money, but we wanted our Corsicana, you know, where we
Small
felt
town.
comfortable. Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And when I retired up there and I was just going to do acting and producing full time, I had warning shot lined up and I gave them a 90-day notice. And lo and behold, 30 days of that 90-day notice, the Corsicana police chief job came open, and my wife was saying, "Hey, no, you just got out. Just don't go back. Don't go back." And I'm like, "No, I've always, actually, I fantasized about being able to come back and finish my career at a place that, even though I started in the city of College Station for 2 years, I never considered that.
Yeah.
You know, I was here back in the 80s for 7 years. And to me, this is where it started at, was Corsicana. So to be able to come back to a place that means a lot to me, the department, a lot of the people I worked with is still there. The people around town now are grown up.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have so much fun doing that job, and I love this city, and anything I can do to you know, leave something behind a little bit better for Corsicana.
Yes.
I'm going to do it because Corsicana's been very good to me. This is where I raised my kids. This is where we chose to make home. All my friends are here.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's about it. You know, I just thank you for the opportunity to come on today. We've done this show a couple of times. I think this is the first time we did it with the other side of my life. And face to face. And I like this. This is wonderful.
So, Bob, I brought you on because you have some exciting news to, for those that don't know, he's actually a producer, writer, and so he has a movie that just released on August the 26th.
Yes,
the movie is called Corsicana. So I'm going to let him tell a little bit about Corsicana and just how he got into what he's doing. But it's exciting times for Corsicana because we actually have a movie called Corsicana, and it's a western. So,
it's a western.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the movie.
You know, I actually wrote this while I was on set of Redstone back during COVID in 2020. I wrote Night Night and teamed up with my executive producer, Amber McNutt. And, you know, me and Amber, we go back years, and she got into the business, and we collaborated and wrote Night Night, and Nikki Koss came down and we filmed it in January. And right when we get through wrapping, about a month later, COVID hit. Well, I handle all the SAG paperwork, and there was a guy that was going to shoot a movie called Redstone with Neil McDonough, and Neil, Yellowstone, Captain America.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just this classic actor, and it was called Redstone, and that was the first movie that got greenlit during COVID. Was our movie Redstone. But while I was sitting on that set that day, I came up with an idea about a Western, and I wrote. While I was sitting on set during the break, I was at Jeff Robinson's ranch, and I'm sitting out there at his barn, just kind of looking over the countryside. And I wrote about the first 20 pages in about 15 minutes, and I shot it over to Amber. Amber read it. Next thing you know, I get this text, let's do it. And next thing you know, a month and a half later, we were on set shooting Corsicana. And, it was wonderful because I had a chance to work. It's funny, all these people over the years since I've been, doing that side of my life, the people that I grew up watching and the people that, my wife and my family watch on TV, because I really don't watch TV anymore. Now I can pick up the phone and call them. They're my friends, and they're just like you and I.
Yeah.
It's not what you think it is and what it really is. It's just a bunch of fun people from all walks of life that are there just trying to create. And you'll be amazed the friends that you make when you're on set. I mean, lifelong real friends.
Yeah.
Not just people that you see now and then 10 years later, but people, you'd be surprised at the people that you see on TV that actually come to the house and stay, just trying to get away.
Trying to get away, yeah.
And go out to eat with you. And, people are like, hey, is that so much so this? Hey, yeah, why didn't you tell me?
So they're approachable. So what about, how did you find out about Bass Reeves? I mean,
I was I was probably 11 or 12. My parents had me over at the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame in Waco, Company F. And I remember meeting a ranger there, and he was telling me about, the Lone Ranger. Because, at that age, it was the Lone Ranger. And he told me who they thought the Lone Ranger was really modeled after. And I was, I gave him that look, and I'm like, huh? What? Really? So the Texas Ranger was modeled after a gentleman, Bass Reeves, an African-American who was born into slavery. His parents were slaves. He was born into slavery. He ends up escaping slavery, breaking bondage. He ended up staying, when he fled to the Oklahoma Territory. Oklahoma was an state back then. And that was back during the Civil War.
Yeah.
And he lived amongst the Indian tribes there. He learned the language. He learned how to track. He learned how to shoot, everything. Next thing you know, the Emancipation Proclamation hits. He goes back to Fort Smith, Arkansas, marries, has a family. His reputation for being a tracker, being able to speak the languages, he couldn't read, he couldn't write, but he had almost a near photographic memory. And so he gets appointed as a federal United States Deputy Marshal, one of the first Black deputy marshals this side of the Mississippi. And, they didn't get paid. So how he got paid was by who he brought in. And he worked just the Oklahoma, territory. So he brought in the worst of the worst. And it's just amazing when you start, because I remember when the internet came out, and I was like, okay, why is it I've never heard of Bass Reeves?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about him in school, didn't read about him in the history books, didn't see him in any of the magazines. You saw the actor playing the Lone Ranger, but you never heard anything about this man. And then you realize, okay, 3,000 felony arrests in his career.
Oh, wow.
He killed 14 people in self-defense, and he goes through a 33-year career without a scratch on him. He got his gun belt shot off once. But he goes through that career, and we have not heard anything about him. And it just, then I started just diving into learning about this man. And it's amazing that he's able to do it, and the respect that he had of people back then. People knew on Bass Reeves, don't mess with Bass. When he retired, when Oklahoma became a state, they disbanded those marshals that were working the territory, and he ended up in Muskogee, where he was stationed at the time.
Oh, Muskogee, Oklahoma?
Yes, ma'am. And he worked the next couple of years as a city police officer in Muskogee, and he didn't have a single crime on his beat. because
Wow.
people knew the legend of Bass Reeves then, but over time that legend didn't get told until here just recently. And when we announced this one, it's a historical fiction. It's not a biography.
Yeah.
But I worked in the real history of Bass Reeves. Everything you see in there with Bass Reeves is true.
Okay, good.
And then I mixed in the the fictionary characters in there, the Donner Gang.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to pay a little bit of homage to Corsicana.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And that's one thing I do in all of our movies. And, so I will produce these movies for a lot of these filmmakers, big and small, for free as long as they use the name Corsicana.
That's good.
In their movie. Good. And they leave that money with the small business owners, Corsicana.
That's good.
Because you're looking at hotel bills run about $60,000, food about $50,000 to $55,000. We break that up and we'll do it from this small business owner, this one, so everybody kind of gets a piece of the pie. And because we'd much rather leave that money with someone that's trying to send their kids to cheer camp, band camp, and just pay the light bill, and not some guy's 5th vacation home in Maui. You know.
Yeah. So, how many more? So you saying you're going to write more? Because, Bob, I want to tell you about this lady. Her name is Annie Buchanan. Have you heard about her?
I haven't.
She was a fortune teller here in Corsicana, and she actually helped community members. I mean, she died. She was from Mahia, but anyway, she lived here in Corsicana, but she would help the sheriff with crime. She was African American. She lived over on the hill.
I've never heard of her. We got to talk.
You need to look her up. But she actually told fortune. People would come from all over to get their fortune told, and she would also. People would come to her she would show them where the oil wells were, or the oil wells were, or as far as all that. But she's well known. I mean, I'm telling you,
I got
Annie
a little
Buchanan,
research on that. We got to
Annie
talk.
Buchanan.
That sounds interesting.
Yes. Well, you have to remember, and that's what I like that you're telling. The story about Mr. Reeves. I mean, because we've never heard stories about
And Barbara, I said you're in law enforcement. You weren't off, and congratulations on your recent retirement of a long, illustrious career. And I remember when you and I both first started in the business, we were friends. It's amazing because he is such a. I think now people are starting to realize it. After we announced this film, and it was in Deadline magazine when we announced that film. Within probably 4 weeks, 3 more Bass Reeves projects were announced.
Oh, that's good.
Taylor Sheridan is working in 1883, a Bass Reeves storyline.
Oh, good.
But, like I said, this one is special because, for many reasons. Number one, I get to call it Corsicana.
Yeah.
I think secondary, it's, when I met Isaiah, I grew up, watching these people, like I said, and didn't grow up watching him. But, when he first got on television, and he was on Grey's Anatomy. And I remember my wife and I would sit there and we would watch all the Grey's Anatomy, 62 episodes, that he was in. And I was thinking, boy, he's a great actor. And I learned he was from Texas. And when he got a copy of the script, and then we started communicating, and we just started, at that point, he reads that, and then he has some ideas. Well, how about this? How about this? And let's add this. And then he just dove in. And by the time we got ready to shoot, he became Bass Reeves.
Wow.
And then he directed it for us. And I mean, it was the most amazing thing. It's the hardest thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
Any type of Western, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You're out there in the heat, animals. You're on a freaking 1,500-pound, pissed off horse that is scaring the heck out of you.
Yeah.
And but I tell you what, we had a good time, and the way that I wrote this, it leaves it open for part 2, which I've already outlined.
Good.
So I'm excited about it. But like I said, we had our world premiere. We had a function at Schulman's, and Schulman's is always good to us.
That's our local theater here.
That's our local theater, and it's Schulman's Movie Boat Grill. And if you ever get a chance to go, complete remodel. It's the most comfortable theater.
It's nice. It really is
just
nice.
Great folks that run it. And they're always so supportive in independent film, because it's hard to do independent films.
Yeah.
It's hard to get them out and to get them in the theater. Very few independent films make it to theaters, usually straight to streaming services. But, they held an event for us for theater owners to come, and a chance for me to say thank you to the key people that help, let us use their land, or work with with us, whatever. But we're looking forward to the release here, which will be on
Yeah,
September 6th.
Yeah, September 6th.
September 8th, excuse me.
September 8th. So September 8th, that's my birthday. So I was like,
yes,
that's be a good time to go and see the movie.
And so it'll be September 8th to be the release here at Schulman's. But right now we're in several states. We're up to about 60 theaters. Right now we're adding on every single day because word is getting out more and more and more. But
so y'all make plans to go see it because I'm planning to go see it. I think I want to go see it on my birthday. So
well, we definitely want you to see it. And we try to stay away from certain. We didn't want to make the same thing as every other Western.
Mm-hmm.
This has more of an art feel to it.
Yeah.
When I wrote this, I tried to stay away from the tropes that we normally see. No one gets shot off the banister. There is no piano player in the saloon. There is no saloon. There is no town. There is no shootout on Main Street.
Yeah.
You don't hit everything you aim at. We try to make it as realistic as possible. And one of the things I definitely want to stay away from is every Western is 10 shades of brown.
Yeah.
Everything is dead. Everything is dusty. This shows what North Central Texas really looks like. And it's about the journey. You'll see vibrant greens, vibrant yellows, blues, the nighttime. But it works in some just great characters, some people that you will absolutely hate at the first of the movie.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait.
So we got, Isaiah Washington, obviously. We got Stacey Dash. And, Stacey's just a sweetheart. I watched her.
Yeah, she's been around a long
forever.
time.
She has. Luke Temple. I remember the first time I saw him is with Denzel Washington in Runaway Train. We got Noel G. From Fast and Furious. Excuse me, Major Dodge. Billy Blair, who was absolutely outstanding as Miller. Amber plays one of the main characters and absolutely rocks it. I'm in it. And we just had a great time making this film. And like I said, be able to work Corsicana in.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yes, named after our city, so we're excited. Well, Bob, I'm excited for you and for, all those involved. I know it's going to do very well, and so nothing but the best for you.
Thank you.
So I want to say thank you for coming and talking about the movie and talking about what you do and what you're passionate about. But I always give my guests opportunity to give their shout outs to anybody that'd like to give a shout out to. So why don't you go ahead and give your shout out?
Oh, well, first of all, my wife is at home right now, Stacy.
And she's a
my
trooper,
daughter,
boy.
Bailey. She put up with me,
she's a
for the last 35 years.
Yeah.
Brandon, my son, I know he's going to be listening to this. He's in Frisco working, and my daughter, Bailey, who is getting married.
She's getting married. I can't believe it.
September the 8th on your birthday.
On my birthday, yeah.
Absolutely. To Isaac Hargrave, because I know he's listening to
Isaac,
this.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to say hello and thank you to all of the citizens of Corsicana. You guys have made my whole life here just as fun, and positive.
Yeah.
And
we're probably about the same. We love our community. We
love
do.
it.
We love it. We love our community.
That's the thing. We can live anywhere we want to, and we choose to live here.
That's right. That's right.
And I'll tell you, I've had so much fun with it, and thank you very much for having me.
Okay, well, everybody, please go out and support the movie. Like he said, it comes out on September the 8th, and you can go and see it here in Corsicana, because it's called Corsicana, at the Schumann's Theater out on Highway 287. So with that being said, I want to say thank you always for supporting the Cana Girl Speaks podcast. Have a great evening. Have a good week, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a Legacy Recording Studio production.